Two historians whose works are quoted as fact on a regular basis are Herodotus and Thucydides. 8 of each of their manuscripts remain, and these were copies of copies that were written 1,300 years after the originals. Yet no one has a problem trusting what is written in these manuscripts. Just think, 24,000 manuscripts from many different locations surviving for centuries that, when compared, verify that the Bible has been accurately transcribed and passed down through the ages. You might ask, are all of these accurate copies actually factual information? Did what was written in the Bible really take place? Are the people, places, and events real? After all, Homer's Iliad was just a fable. What about the Bible? The renowned Jewish archaeologist Nelson Glueck once said, "It may be stated categorically that no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a biblical reference. Scores of archaeological findings have been made which confirm in clear outline or exact detail the historical statements in the Bible." Many times critics of the Bible have pointed to supposed biblical flaws, only to have archaeology later discredit their arguments. The Bible has been validated by the discovery of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of verifying artifacts and archaeological discoveries. The plethora of artifacts could fill several lengthy videos. Here are a few of them. The tomb and remains of Caiaphas the high priest were discovered by workers constructing a road just south of the old city of Jerusalem. Caiaphas was the high priest who handed Jesus over to the Romans and also persecuted the early church. He was mentioned numerous times in the New Testament and also in Josephus' history called Antiquities. The tomb of Cyrus the Great, mentioned in the Bible books Isaiah, 2 Chronicles, and Ezra, was discovered in Iran outside the ancient city of Pasaragde. Over 50 prominent figures mentioned in the Old Testament are known outside of the Bible from other records, and 27 people from the New Testament are known from other records. Statues or drawings of the likenesses of 12 Old Testament people have been discovered, including Shishak, the Egyptian king who plundered the temple, in the book of 1 Kings, Jehu, king of Israel, in the book of 2 Kings, Hazael, king of Aram, an enemy of Israel, from the book of 1 Kings, Xerxes I, king of Persia, who was a key character from the book of Esther, and Sargon II, king of Assyria, mentioned in the book of 2 Kings. Quite a number of structures mentioned in the Bible have been discovered and excavated as well. A few of these include Nebuchadnezzar's palace in Babylon, found in present-day Iraq, the royal palace at Samaria where the kings of Israel lived at one time. It is spoken about in 1 Kings. The pool of Siloam in Jerusalem, where Jesus healed a blind man. Never lost was Jacob's well, mentioned in the Gospel of John. At numerous times throughout history, various churches have built over the well and were later destroyed by invading forces. At the present time, the Greek Orthodox Church has built a chapel over the well with it inside. So to answer the question, is the Bible's people, places, and events trustworthy? Let me summarize with quotes from experts on the subject. Dr. Clifford Wilson, formerly director of the Australian Institute of Archaeology, said, "I know of no finding in archaeology that's properly confirmed which is in opposition to the Scriptures. The Bible is the most accurate history textbook the world has ever seen." Sir William Ramsay, eminent archaeologist and skeptic who changed his mind about the trustworthiness of the Bible after extensive work in the Middle East, said, "I set out to look for truth on the borderland where Greece and Asia meet, and found it there. You may press the words of Luke in a degree beyond any other historians, and they stand the keenest scrutiny and the hardest treatment." And finally, William F. Albright, the world-famous archaeologist who confirmed the authenticity of the Dead Sea Scrolls following their discovery, said, "The reader may rest assured that nothing has been found by archaeologists to disturb a reasonable faith, and nothing has been discovered which can disprove a single theological doctrine. The Bible can stand for itself." Yes, the Bible can stand for itself. So now, let's consider the evidence for dinosaurs in the written historical record of the Bible. First, a short background on the beginning of creation and the Great Flood is necessary to understand why dinosaurs and man have always lived together and why we find things under the ground like fossils, coal, and oil. Genesis chapter 1 of the Bible tells about God's creation of all that exists. This was a special creation that God performed in 6 days about 6,000 years ago. The Bible says that God made everything and it was good. This creation included both man and dinosaur. The earth was much different in the beginning, in that it had been created perfect. Over a period of time, the first created man and woman, Adam and Eve, broke the rules that God had set up for them to obey. This caused a separation between God and man. Adam and his wife were expelled from the Garden of Eden, and their once perfect bodies became subject to death, sickness, and the harsh environment outside of the perfect garden they once inhabited. Over a period of 2,000 years, the world was populated, and the moral state of mankind became very wicked, and the earth was filled with violence. In fact, the Bible says that there was only one righteous man left. His name was Noah. The Bible says that God came down to Noah and told him that all life in the world was going to be wiped out because of the wickedness of man. God gave Noah instructions for building a great boat to save himself and his family. God's instructions included a command that he would be charged with taking 2 of every kind of animal onto the ark, so that after the flood, the animals and Noah's family could repopulate the world. So about 4,000 years ago, God brought a flood upon the world and destroyed all life that was on the planet, except for the life that remained in the ark that God had commanded to be built. This flood covered the entire world, and any land-dwelling life that was not in the ark was drowned in the flood and buried in the sedimentary rock layers that were laid down as the floodwaters settled. This buried organic material is what produced the fossils, oil, and coal deposits that we find under the earth today. It is interesting to note that there are roughly 500 cultures that have a legend about a global worldwide flood in which only one family survived. The Bible says that after the flood, both men and animals began to repopulate the earth. As this occurred and mankind spread out across the land, the animals, including the dinosaurs that Noah had taken on the ark, began to repopulate and migrate out as well. As described previously, the historical record is filled with stories of men hunting dragons, fiery serpents, and other large reptile-like creatures. With this background, let's look at the over 35 references that the Bible gives of dinosaurs. The Bible describes 6 different creatures